Welcome back to the ZeroW Podcast, where we talk about lifting, coaching, and more. You can learn more about Zero by going to www.zero.com.au. That's Zero with a W. We are also proudly sponsored by Establishment Coffee. Head to establishmentcoffee.com.au. Use the code 025 for 25% off and free shipping. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. That's what all the cool kids say. And if you're on Spotify, hit that 5-star review. We love it. Enjoy the show now.
We're back with another episode
Welcome back.
Been a few weeks.
of the ZeroW
Has it?
ZeroW Weakness podcast show.
Yeah, it's been like 3 weeks.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Wow.
Wow.
I feel like we were just here.
Time flies when you're having fun.
We're here 5 days a week.
And then it's not on again next week, unless we can find some guests.
Why? Oh, because Bridget.
Wait, why do you keep making the toolbox meetings when we're away?
Yeah.
Next week.
Yeah.
The week after you're back, though.
Yeah.
Is it the week after?
No,
it's
the
next
after
week.
that.
Mm.
No, there's 2 coming up, though.
Oh, excellent.
Well, the internet doesn't work in New Zealand.
Now we can, let's jump in.
Yeah, I'm keen to jump in at 11
Me
o'clock at
too.
night.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Is that what time it's going to be?
Nah, it's only like I thought of it. I've already looked. It's 8 o'clock at night.
It's 3 hours
Oh,
time
yeah.
difference now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah,
bringing
nice.
my laptop.
nothing better to do in Christchurch.
All right. What's everyone been up to? Bridget.
I had Heather's second bodybuilding comp on the weekend on Saturday. This one was with NBA. That's
National
Natural
Basketball Association.
Natural Bodybuilding Australia. And she did great. She got 2 gold and 2 fourth place.
Amazing.
And she's never got a gold medal before, so she was over the moon. And she was planning on, I think I told you this already, but she was planning on making this her last comp or her last season. But since she's had such a successful season, she's probably going to do next year as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
She's got the bug.
Yeah, she does.
She looked great.
She looked amazing.
That's good. Good on
Yeah.
her. Well done, Heather.
Yeah, she had such a great time. Congratulations, Heather. You deserve it. You're a very hard worker.
It's giving you the bug. Coach more bodybuilding.
Yeah, why not? Bodybuilding and powerlifting. I'd like to get a bit more experience with it first, but
Nice.
yeah, no, I had a really good time.
Megumi?
We went to Sydney.
Nice.
Sure did.
Got back on Sunday. Ate our way through Sydney.
Yeah.
Did the fitness expo. That was so much fun. Very chaotic. Very, very fun.
It looked fun. And I loved your outfits.
oh, thanks.
The green.
Yeah.
Very
We were
pretty.
matching.
They didn't love them.
I know Dana already told me.
Wow, she's only been back one day. It was so much fun though.
Yeah.
You're now followed by Callum von Moger.
I know, I heard. They asked him to be on the podcast and
Yeah.
he said yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Not our podcast.
He's going to be on the Babel podcast.
Babel podcast.
Callum von Moger.
Apparently, yeah.
Wait, why was he there?
He was doing a meet and greet. And one of the stands Dana and I were standing at were really close by, so we could kind of monitor the line because most of the time the line was just going for ages, like 45-minute wait, like minimum. And there was this window where I could see only a small handful of people. I was like, that's right. All right, Dana, this is our opportunity. We have to go now. And she was like, whoa, like freaking out. It's like, what are we going to say? And I was just like, I don't know. Walked up to him. I was like, hey, I'm Meg. We'd love for you to be on our podcast. And he's like, tell me about it. And he said yes. But I don't know if it was like,
Just to be polite.
yeah, like get away from me, yes, or like, or like a yes with conviction. I couldn't really tell.
So wait, is he back on like the straight and narrow now?
Yeah, I believe so.
You believe so?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, maybe a post-podcast topic then.
Oh,
I think he's a lot better than
Yeah, I think he's
than where he was.
definitely
But
better.
I don't think he's all the way healed.
yeah.
Mm.
Oh man, what have you been up to, Tom, bro? You enjoy Sydney?
I saw my mother and my some of my relatives live in Sydney, so I got to catch up with my auntie, see my cousin's new baby. Went to the fitness expo a tiny bit, but yeah, mostly saw family and ate food with Meg and the gang.
Nice.
That was good. The weekend before that, we were off in Perth. Went to Perth for Kurt and Dylan to compete. Dylan unfortunately tore his quad on the first squat attempt.
No.
Oh,
So he didn't get very far.
That's a big fucking quad as well.
It wasn't a big tear, thankfully. And Kurt had an not the day that he wanted. kind of post. He got all 3 of his squats, but he missed the second and third on depth. So he went 380, 405, and missed 405 twice.
Damn.
You know, I thought his 405 looked better than his opener.
Yeah, so I agree, and I watched them, pretty closely. The opener I watched from the side, and I thought it was actually lucky to get whites. And then the second, I thought he cleaned up really well and went deeper, and it got reds. The third one was definitely high.
Yeah.
And then he benched 237.5 for a PB, just missed out on 242 at lockout.
Holy crap.
And then he missed his second and third deadlifts. They were both very comfortable, just slipped his grip, unfortunately.
What a monster.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's had a lot of big life changes. He's moved to a new country. He's got a baby now. He's not sleeping properly. He's finding his feet in the new country is very different for them, and their living situation is very different as well. So I think he did really well given all the circumstances.
Oh, good on him.
Nice.
Yeah, we also had Hannah Altman compete over at the Commonwealths.
How'd she go?
She didn't have her best day, but without getting too deep into the story, there was some stuff that happened, and despite the stuff that happened, she put up a really good showing. So really proud of her. She did great.
Yeah, good on him.
Nice.
Yeah. James, what about you? What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Not a lot. I don't think
We
I've been
just
doing
finished
anything.
another Lord of the Rings marathon,
Oh,
and now he
yeah.
doesn't know what to do with his life.
Yeah,
so now
yeah.
we got to start The Hobbit.
We had the long weekend last weekend. What did we do last weekend? I feel like we did heaps.
The Lord
Was
of the
that-
Rings
was-
marathon.
We started Lord of the Rings last week.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh no, we had a bit of a party weekend that
That's right,
weekend.
yeah,
It was
we-
the footy weekend, footy grand final.
Oh, yeah, that weekend
Yeah.
was a write-off. A fun write-off.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we go to New Zealand next week, so I'm just excited for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can
Nice.
think about.
Any other key hotspots you want to take Bridget to while you're in the hood?
I'm going to take it to Hammer Springs
Oh yeah,
because it'll be nice because it's
that's always
cold.
a good time.
Yeah.
Hammer Springs is fun.
Yeah.
Is that like the
Thermal hot
Yeah.
pools and that.
yeah?
And then, just want to, my parents live in the countryside, like outside of Christchurch, so I just want to hang out there and
Yeah, nice.
get amongst it. Jump on some, my mum and dad, ride their quad bikes almost every day. And
Yep.
so I'm pretty keen just to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
The
as.
country lifestyle.
Is it cold at the moment?
Freezing.
Freezing?
Well,
Is it?
where my parents live, it's cold.
Mm.
Like, I'm pretty sure there might still be, I could be wrong, there might still be snow on the mountains in like Lake Coleridge.
It would be, yeah.
Mm.
The the bridge you drive over on the way to Hammer, just before Hammer,
Mm.
and people bungee jump off it and stuff. I always thought that was the most hectic, wild bridge, so high and scary ever. Now when you go over it as an adult, you're like, oh, is this it? It's just like the drive out there would feel like it took like a whole day to get there.
Yeah.
And now it's like the same as driving to work.
Have I been to Hamner Springs?
No, we didn't end up going.
Yeah, it's actually only an hour away, isn't it?
Yeah, just over an hour.
Mm. Pretty excited to check out the new Zero.
Definitely.
That'll be fun.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I'm keen for you guys to see it.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Have you trained there yet, Thomas?
No.
No.
Normally I christen it with 140 by 3 on bench,
Nice.
but time didn't permit. There was too much work to do. We thought we'd get it done a bit quicker, and that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, that means all I need to tick off now is once we train at Christchurch, tick off Mackay, Cairns, and Wales.
Have you been to Sunny
And
Coast?
Sunshine Coast.
Oh, but we're going to the Sunshine Coast. Help at the comp.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so train then.
Nice.
Mm.
What comp?
16th.
November 16th.
Oh.
Yeah.
There is a competition.
But
Sweet.
yeah.
What quotes have we got?
All right, I'll kick it off. I won't get upset at you about a mistake. It's a sports quote. I'll get upset at you for the next mistake that comes from still thinking about the last mistake. Doc Rivers.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's all
Good
about
one.
just kind of like flushing, like athletes or, when a powerlifter misses their opening attempt.
They
then
dwell on it.
Then they start dwelling on it. Their
Yeah.
moods change.
Yep.
It's just to fix everything else. And if they make the second mistake again because all they thought about was the first one. So it's kind of like just flush it and move on.
Yeah, for sure.
Like there's so many athletes I admire. CJ, you could probably someone like Reece Walsh makes a million mistakes, but doesn't even think about the last mistake he made, and just keeps going forward. He's a footy player, by the way.
Mm. Nice.
That's a good one. I like that quote.
Yeah, we're very good.
Mine is, once you have accepted your flaws, no one can use them against you.
Nice. Very
Eminem.
8 Mile
Yeah.
Eminem of you.
Is it?
Yeah.
I know something about you.
Meg, what do you got?
My quote is, if you're tired, then do it tired.
Nice.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
You don't
Right.
have to, you get to.
So is that what you first thought of as well?
Yes.
That's yeah,
Straight away.
crazy. That's cool. You know
Is
how
he-
he brings up all his
Yeah.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
the guy's like, shit, I got no fucking heat on him now.
Ah, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Hormozy uses it a lot as an analogy for something called damaging admissions, which is like, you know, if we're advertising the gym, we might say, we're not the biggest gym, but here's what we've got.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's like showing you that we know exactly what we are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
My quote is, don't eat with people you wouldn't starve with.
Sheesh.
Damn.
Nice.
Where did you get that one from?
It's just a podcast.
Good quotes, gang.
All right. What are we grateful for?
Want me to kick it off?
Yes.
All right. Little backstory. Took my car in for a service. Came out with an $800 bill for to get my brakes done. I was like, nah, fuck that. I'm not paying $800. I just went on YouTube, watched a whole bunch of videos, rung CJ, rung Josh, rung
Sorry.
Cooper, rung a whole bunch of people that are, you know, car savvy, and they all convinced me I could probably do them myself. So I went out. Josh lent me his tools, so I'm very grateful for Josh. Very grateful for CJ's advice. I went and bought brake pads for $70.
Nice.
What?
And then me old mate David Wilcock, who I'm fucking so grateful for. I've coached him, I don't know, 3 years or whatever. But he's turned into such a good friend. Me and him have a really cool friendship. And he came around on a Sunday and got in the trenches with me and helped me fix my car.
Oh,
So instead of paying $800, I paid $70.
Wow.
That's so good.
Yeah, David's such a good bloke.
He
Yeah.
is.
He's always just down for fucking,
For whatever.
yeah. Sunday afternoon, didn't think twice. Yeah, mate, be over in 5.
Whereabouts is he? Oh, no, maybe. I was going to say, where does he live? But don't say that on the podcast.
But yeah, so literally I rung him. Bro, what are you up to? He's like, why? It's Sunday. I'm like, I need help. He's like, yeah, mate, be over in 5.
So good.
He's so great.
Bridget, what do you got? What are you grateful for?
I'm just grateful for training at the moment. I'm really enjoying it. That's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Me?
Yeah.
I'm really grateful for my friend Gam. I've known her since I was maybe 12, 13. And no one in my life has seen me make any more mistakes or seen me spoil any more movies or ruin any more surprises than her. And she still always has the utmost faith in me. Or at least she pretends to. So I'm really grateful for her. That's it.
I'm grateful for friends who can keep secrets.
Oh, man. What are you grateful for, Tom, bro?
I'm grateful for freedom in training, like not being so attached to the goals that I have for my powerlifting life that I can't take it a little bit easy for a couple of months. So at the moment, my training is pretty maintenance. I'm just doing essentially the bare minimum, which I haven't really done. I don't know if ever I've done this. So I'm still training with a reasonable intensity, like enough intensity to not get smaller, to not get weaker. But I'm not training super hard. I'm not training as hard as I could. And I'm just focusing on getting a little bit leaner, prioritizing a little bit more other stuff in work and life. And I'm glad I can do that without guilt or fear of going backwards or anything like that.
You are looking a little leaner, by the way.
Thank you.
I thought it the other day.
Well, I hope so.
Ketosis.
I hope so, with the lack of food in my life.
Oh,
All right, what do we got? We got some more subjects from from last week.
yeah, but first of all, let's talk about this. Because me and Bridget tried to unpack this the other day too.
Yeah, for the record, although Meg said it in the chat, I'm the one who said I want to talk about this on the podcast. And I actually come across these. So how it came about was I said this and I was like, I think about stuff like this all the time that I want to put on podcast, but I never send it in the group chat. And then I forget what I said. Yeah.
All right. So let's talk about this then. Meg, you want to talk about it?
So the other day we were trying to discern what makes the other day work in conversation. So, for example,
No, it's just defining what is your range. What is your acceptable range for the other day?
yeah, like
Yeah.
Because I'll say it for
went to
years
this-
ago.
We went to this.
Really?
We went to this restaurant the other day. Like, how many days is the
I
cap?
think as long as it's within the same week, then you can
What?
use it.
That's
James said
crazy.
within-
That's crazy.
So there's some context. There's some context here that I want to add to it. If me and Tom are having a disagreement, and if he said something 2 years ago, I'll say the other day, bro, the other day you said that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll use it then.
Yeah.
When it's, you do it to me as well. It's like, mate, that wasn't the other day. That was fucking.
You
that was 3
lie. When I said 2 weeks, you're like, no more than 3 days.
No,
and then now you're
that's why
changing
there's
what
the
you're saying.
context. That's why I'm saying there's context. Like, if it's like a,
So when
like, you know, when
so
it's
when
like
would the 3 days come in?
general conversation, like general conversation.
General conversation.
It's just like 3 days. But like if Tom Bro goes to me, I don't know, let's just, bro, we need to do this. I'm like, nah, bro, I said the other day we need to do this. I'm like, mate, that'll be fucking 2 years ago. Like, that's when that's when I use it as the other day. But it's like
No.
I
Don't you
agree.
reckon?
I agree with you, James. Like with friends stuff, I'll bring up something from like a year ago, like when they fumbled. I'm like, literally the other day you did this.
Nah, I gotta disagree with you all.
See, I can't actually remember what I said. I can't remember if
You
I
said ages. You said up to 3-4 weeks.
No, I definitely said like 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, and for
Is
me,
acceptable.
it's up to 2 weeks.
nah.
Like we went to that
I
cafe the
say
other
within
day.
the same week.
I'm with Bridget. It's within the same week.
No,
Yes, but
Bro, the other day.
how? Yeah, see,
Because then
that
once it
sounds-
becomes more than a week, then you can say, oh, a week ago, or
No,
a couple of
see,
weeks ago,
that's
or
about
last
a
month,
week ago.
or
Well, then you raise then you raise another thing. A few weeks ago, what's a few?
3
2 to 3.
No.
3 weeks.
2 to 3.
What is it? Through?
Huh?
3? 3?
3.
No, I'm just talking shit. Just trying to use bad English.
Because if
man.
it's 2 weeks, it's a couple, and then a few weeks
Oh,
ago,
speaking of a couple.
No,
okay.
Through.
2 to 6 weeks is a few.
It's 2 to 3 weeks ago.
I like wide time frames.
what is several?
Huh?
Several weeks.
What's several? More than 3,
Yeah.
but less than 6?
Same categories of few.
Nah,
2 to 6.
nah. A few is 3. Always
Let's just talk in training blocks. 1 training block ago.
1 block. That's how I figure out
Wait,
how
is
much
this with
time's
a
left
deload
in the
week
end
or
of
a
the year.
reload week? an intro week.
But you don't actually need deload weeks, bro.
Just do an intro week.
Just change the name of it. Oh, all good.
A primer week.
All right. So
I count the year out in blocks.
Yeah, same.
'Cause it sounds like it's got ages to go, and then you're like, no, that's only 3 blocks.
Oh, that's the worst day when you're like, fuck, wait. Oh, I got ages. Got 15 weeks till Christmas Cup. It's like,
That was a quiet one, CJ.
all right. So there's no general agreement. Me and Bridget agree that it's within
What
the
do
same
you
week.
guys think is a few? Like, oh, grab a handful of chips or a handful of marbles.
A handful.
No. She didn't mean a few. She meant to say, what do you think a handful is?
Or a couple.
If you were to translate handful to numbers,
Well, it depends on
like
what
if
it
you
is.
use it like a handful of people, you obviously can't hold people in your hand.
5.
Yeah. 5. The worst.
Well,
is
then
when-
hang on. Would you be happy taking a handful of M&Ms? 5 M&Ms.
Yeah, see, that's
Bro,
what I
that's-
mean. It's context
That's
dependent.
weak.
You can't agree on terms like this. It's not possible.
Because you can grab 50 M&Ms in one hand, but you
Unless we
can't. But
Google
50
it.
people's not a handful of people.
You cannot grab 50 M&Ms in one hand.
I was
I
about to
reckon
say,
I
I want to
could.
put this to the test.
I reckon I could.
No, you couldn't.
Yes, I could.
No, you couldn't.
Those little skinny
Okay.
fingers.
I could definitely hold 50 M&Ms in my hand.
Not a chance.
Handful
Yeah.
definition. A person or group that's very difficult to deal with.
That person's a handful.
Yeah. A quantity that fills the hand.
Oh, wow. Who would have thunk it?
A handful. Oh, man. A handful. It's so,
All
it's
right.
the worst. Hold on. It's the worst when someone says grab a handful and then you rock up with a handful and they're like, bro. It's like, mate, you didn't give me a definitive, like, quantity. You said a handful.
I think always showing up with more is better than showing up
Yes.
a little bit less, just in case, you know? Anyways.
All right, we got a handful of topics.
Mm-hmm. You want to talk about some that we didn't cover the other episode, Tom, bro?
Sure, you pick.
All right, let's start with... let's start with a technique deep dive, since we're all coaches. Common mistakes / errors in squat. We can pick any lift, actually.
No, I'll do squats.
Mm-hmm.
Mistake or error?
Holding your brace up high in your chest.
So you
Instead
get
of-
like real extended?
Yeah, so people when they breathe in and go and just hold it up here instead of bracing properly.
Which is, that happens when people are bracing on the inhale. So what a brace is trying to push your air out against a blocked airway. It's called the Valsalva maneuver. And so like if you imagine you are breathing out as hard as you can, but not letting any air out. When you do that, all the actions of forced exhalation, so your abs turning on, your scaps depressing, everything sort of closing down, that should happen. So what Bridget's talking about is when people breathe in and then they just hold their breath. That's not a brace. That's just holding your breath. And it really messes up your squat, because then you'll arch your back, you'll get big butt wink, you'll travel forward, you'll squat high. There's a number of breakdowns that will stem directly from standing in that like really extended position. It's where the cue ribs to hips comes from, which is a terrible cue. Terrible in the sense of like anything that tells you to go in a particular direction, if you do it long enough, you'll lose things that are meant to be on the other side, or you'll overcorrect. So if you go ribs to hips forever, you'll just end up rounding your back forward and getting all the opposite problems.
Interesting.
Letting your chest cave in.
It's funny because I still sometimes, I've never actually, so I didn't realize people use that cue, ribs to hips. I've kind of, I didn't actually know it was a thing. I kind of thought of it myself in my head. The way I cue it, obviously I show them the Valsalva maneuver, but then I'll say, if someone is getting really extended, I'm like, set your brace, make sure your torso is nice and rigid, and I don't want the space between your hips and ribs to
open up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it's fine to use directional cues. It's just you want to get away from them as soon as you can.
Yeah.
It's like use that to correct them into the right position and then just cueing the bracing after that.
And then I'll follow it up with like at no cost to your upper back.
Yeah.
Because like you said, that's the main setback that comes from that cue, as people fold over and lose their upper back. And we've seen it time and time again where it happens.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll do the same thing. Like if someone's doing that when I'm trying to teach them, the first thing I'll do is to get them to put their hands behind their head and try and do it again. Because as soon as you have a bar on your back and your arms are like up on the bar, you automatically stick your chest out. Like all that stuff we cue for the upper back, pinching between your shoulder blades and stuff, will make you go into that extended position. And so like it's pretty natural for people to end up there. So I'll get them to cue that bracing drill with their hands behind their head to feel it, or with a broomstick on their back. And if they're still not able to achieve it, then I'll start using cues like, okay, when you set your brace, pull your chest down or squeeze your abs or something like that to get their chest to go where it's meant to go, and then get them to hold that. We had a really good example of it at the workshop we did here. There's a woman that's doing Christmas Cup, and she was really worried about not hitting depth because all her squats were really high. And all it was that she was like the max extended.
Super upright.
Yeah, so all we had to do is teach her how to brace, and then all of a sudden she could hit depth.
Yeah. There was like Jack, Flip, I forgot his last name. Granger. He always thought, he came here thinking he couldn't squat to depth. He always just assumed he had really tight hips. He just didn't know how to drive his knees forward and brace.
Yeah, you just got him to angle his torso forward a little bit more too, because he was staying so upright.
Can you remember that?
I do remember. Ooh.
I was like, can you just lean forward a little bit?
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
The irony is, as well, is like when people start doing that, they feel a lot more upright than they did before. They're arching their back and sticking their chest out.
Or the opposite is when they bro, it feels like I'm going to fall forward, and then you show them a video and they're like, oh,
yeah,
just looks like a normal squat now.
Yeah. So that's a big one. Bracing.
I guess that
on the inhale
is another one too. Like resisting letting your torso fall forward.
Yeah.
Which is a bit scary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like resisting and then folding like halfway through.
Yeah.
I think it's very scary for people that have never done a low bar. Because if you've already learned how to low bar, it's kind of just a natural part of the low bar that encourages you to have that forward torso angle, as opposed to a high bar squat where you can stand a little bit more upright because it's not pitching you forward.
For sure. For sure.
You can drive your knees forward a little bit harder as well.
The easiest way to visualize it for people listening is when you're doing a squat, when you're doing any of the lifts, but really when you're doing a squat, you've got this like magical balance zone. The bar has to stay in a particular spot over your feet. If it goes too far forward, you fall over forward. If it goes too far back, you fall over backwards. And your body will change its shape to accommodate staying in that magical balance zone. So if you stick your chest up and you try and stay upright, when you're squatting down, your hips have to travel back to some degree. So if they travel back, the bar's going to travel back, you'll fall over backwards. So what your body will do to compensate when you're arching your chest out is lean your torso forward to keep the bar traveling over that center point around your foot. So people who try to stay upright end up folding in half way more than people who just set a good brace and embrace that forward lean a little bit.
All right, I'll use another example for this one. I'll ask you guys, let's say a bodybuilder that hasn't been taught how to squat, bench, or deadlift. When they max out a squat, how do they generally fail? Can you guys all think how would they fail, or what would cause them to fail? What's the first thing
like a barbell squat, you mean?
Yeah, if you got them to max out their barbell squat, and when they finally fail, let's say they're a really jacked bodybuilder as well, and when they finally fail, what is the most common cause for a fail?
I'm imagining they just don't ever get past like hamstrings off their calves.
What do you think? Have you got an opinion, Bridget?
I'm not sure. I'm just thinking in general, like most people failing because they lose their upper back and pitch forward.
Well, that's what about?
But I don't know. I don't know what the bodybuilder side of things
like dumping it over their head.
Yeah. So what Bridget said, like they're generally going to lose it because their legs are fucking strong enough.
Yeah.
You know, especially if they're super jacked.
Yeah.
That's what I always think. It's like, oh, they're going to lose it because their upper back. You know, the hips will shoot back, the bar will roll over your head. You see it with really strong powerlifters too. It's always it's not that their legs give out; it's that their upper back gives out.
Yeah, legs are pretty much never the limitation in a squat.
Yeah, so I think that's and more experienced lifters, you could argue hips, but I always think it comes down to the upper back.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And also because that's probably the last thing, sorry to cut you off, Thomas. It's probably the last thing people are thinking of when they're new to squatting as well. Because, you know, all the power comes from the legs and the hips. So the last thing they're focusing on is what they're doing with their upper back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I it's really helpful to think about it like that, as in like your legs are not the limitation. This is why people leg press so much more than they squat. It's like, okay, so if you're consistently experiencing these big breakdowns in your squat, or you're unable to express your strength, it's not your legs problem. It's a breakdown in the system somewhere. And it's going to be one of three things. It's like your inability to hold a particular position with your legs, so some sort of control of the hips overall, or your inability to transfer that power from your legs up into the bar, which is going to be limited by the next two things, which is your bracing or your upper back. It's always one of those three things that's going to make you fail a squat or make you have a breakdown in a squat. And I mean, that's how we teach it at Zero anyway. We've got these 3 biomechanical rules that lead towards those 3 things. And if we can fix all of those things, we've got a perfect squat.
Like when I think about a limiting factor for myself in the squat, it's now it's everything. But when I was squatting, it was always my shoulders. It was always my shoulders. It limited my progress across bench press, even with deadlifts. Like I couldn't, I just got poor shoulder mobility and flexibility that I can't, mobility and stability that I couldn't keep them in that stable position to warrant a, perfect squat. So for me, it was always, a shoulder thing, upper back thing. What's any other lifts you guys want to talk about?
Nah, I reckon we do the other lifts on other days.
Should we keep that as a regular thing?
I think so,
I like that, yeah.
Anything else about the squat?
Knees tracking in, so losing power at the hips.
That's a touchy one for a lot of people.
I don't think it needs to be. I think if you've got a range in your head, then you agree. So, like, what I mean by that is the idea that, the knees can move in and out and that's okay is normally debunked when you've got an extreme case of it. If someone's like, oh, okay, let's work on keeping your knees out, or, controlling your hips or whatever. If you're willing to do that with the worst case, then you need to be willing to do it with the most mild case, because it suggests that it's an issue.
Interesting.
And issues can increase in scale. And so, like, we're working, if the bad end of the spectrum is that way, then the good end of the spectrum is the other way. And so there's an end to that spectrum somewhere. And the end on the good side is the gold standard that we're always working towards. So, like, knees caving in, like the problem is most people argue about it in a safety perspective. Who cares? Like, who cares? Yeah, maybe you can hurt your knee. Maybe you can't hurt your knee doing that. Who cares? We're not coaching people to be not hurt. We're coaching people to be as strong as they can, which is not ignoring the fact that injuries exist. It's being sensitive to that, but inherently the strongest way is the safest way. The safest way is the most efficient way. Like, the three have to go together because you have to create a long-term training solution. And like, the knees caving in just represents a power loss somewhere else. Oh, it's just stronger muscles taking over. Yeah, that's fine, but that might suggest that those muscles are overpowering other muscles that should be doing what they should be doing in that moment.
It's because obviously, like there's other people that have different systems and things like that. But like like you said, like when coaches play, that's wrong, or that system is wrong. When do you think powerlifting will ever get to a point where people will just accept that these are different systems?
Yeah, it has zero. Is there powerlifting outside of zero? No. No, definitely not.
It's weird. Like, I don't know why. Do you guys? Is it weird that I always use sports analogies?
No.
Okay. So, like, to me, it's a winning team. No one agrees that their strategy or their system is right. Do you know? No professional NBA team or sports team, they don't bash other systems. They just keep working on their own system.
Yeah.
And like, it's weird in our space how coaches will be like, this is wrong. If your coach gets you to do this is wrong. And I can't stand that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I always compare it to sport.
Yeah, but like, if you take that, then that I would think of that as like the strategy or the programming side of things.
Yeah.
And then within that, there's technique, right? And most people are going to agree there's a particular technique to use
100%
when performing certain movements in that sport, right?
Yeah, but I just double down on my own system or our system. So I don't need to talk about other systems.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly what you're saying is like, what value do you get by saying somebody else is wrong? It doesn't help you in any way, shape, or form. It's like, focus on your own thing. Like, where am I going wrong?
Yeah, because no one's going to watch a video and go, fuck, my coach told me to not, I'm quitting. I'm going to go to that guy. That's never fucking benefited anyone.
Yeah. And like, the thing I hate is it plants seeds of doubt, which is elevating yourself while shutting someone else down, which is unnecessary. Elevate yourself by showcasing your results and your intelligence and the way that you get results using your system rather than shitting on someone at the same time. That's just rubbish.
This is a real weird logic too with the whole knees caving in, loss of tension at the hip thing that I always think about. So I got the launch of Intake 2. Me and Bridget are doing kids development program today.
Yeah.
So Intake 2, right? Let's say today we teach them how to squat. The parents don't know anything about a squat. If they walk in and see their kids' knees touching, do you think they're going to be impressed? Like, aesthetically, that does not look good.
Yeah, it's funny. Like,
do you know what I mean, though?
Yeah,
like,
no.
Like, if they walk in, their fucking kids' knees, their 8-year-old's kids' knees are touching on the way down and up, they're going to be like, fuck, that doesn't look right. Like,
yeah.
Are you sure? And I go, nah, trust me. Like there's nothing. What is technique? Do you know what I mean? There is no perfect technique. I'm just allowing his body to move the way it does.
Oh my God, I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Legit. Like, you want, you want your, it's not, to me, it's not as pleasing. And like, in my belief, it's wrong as well. Like,
you're 100% right. Good technique looks good.
Yeah, that's it. I was like, fuck, these parents are going to be spewing if they walk in and their son's fucking squatting with their knees together.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's I can think of very few sports. There's certain sports that just look dumb in general, but there's very few sports where like good technique doesn't look good. And it's that I use that exact same argument with people when they have ranges in their technique. Oh, the back can round a little bit. Yeah, the knees can cave a little bit. It's like, well, show them the worst case example. If their immediate response is to say that's not good technique or, oh, that doesn't look good, even if they know nothing about biomechanics, technique, anything like that, there's probably something to that. Like the common, I'm not going to out the guy completely, but you know who I'm talking about, the common squat example that I show in the coach development stuff with the super rounded back. Like, I show people that and I'm like, tell me, is this a bad squat? And it satisfies all the things that people say, because when you ask someone what is good technique, without fail, like I did a free webinar recently and had hundreds of responses to the poll that I put out of people saying what is good technique. Literally every single coach's answer was something along the lines of the strongest, safest, most efficient way for the individual. And when you show someone something like that, they can't define safety, efficiency. They can't define why the individual matters. They just look at it and say, no, it's bad. And say, well, why is it bad? Is it strong? Yes. Is it efficient? Yes. The bar's moving straight up and down. Is it safe? Well, yes. He's never been hurt doing the lift like that. So it satisfies your definition of good technique, but you're saying it's bad technique. And this is the problem. The problem is that people don't have an idea of what their actual definition of good technique is. That's why I say, when you say, will people agree on this? I say definitely not. I'm so confident that people will never agree on this because no one's thinking as far ahead as what is my actual definition of what is good or what is bad.
If only there was a course where people could learn more about this stuff.
If only. If only.
All right.
What's the time? When do you got to go?
11:30.
You got time.
Got 10 minutes.
At 11:30. I dropped my phone a while ago. What's the time?
11:19.
Oh, nice.
All right. Yeah, let's keep that one in there every week. Technique deep
Yeah,
dive.
I like that.
Mental strategies to break through plateaus.
Teaspoon of cement, mate. Tablespoon if you need it.
I don't know. Sometimes I find just a change of routine. You know how they say change is as good as a holiday.
What's
Motivates you a bit more. I don't know.
What are we defining as a plateau?
Yeah,
That-
that's what I
Do
was
you
going
mean
to
That
say.
was
do you
my
mean
first
mental?
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mental plateau or physical?
Because in that case, I've been plateauing for about 3 years now. But do you know what I mean? Like, what determines a plateau?
Are you talking about a plateau in strength gains or?
A platoon.
Or like enjoyability?
Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't know.
Because I don't personally believe that plateaus exist in training if training
Is happening.
is achieving the right principles. Like, as in, some people think that there's a natural peak.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're never going to exist like this magical natural ceiling that everybody has. I don't believe that exists. It's when other things start to limit it. So age will start to limit it if we're talking about strength training, or a lack of intensity, a lack of consistency. There's a lack of good programming strategies, technical bottlenecks, like the way that you're moving. So I don't believe plateaus exist, but I definitely believe that if you perceive a plateau to be there, it can hugely affect your mentality. So when it comes to like what mental strategies to get past a plateau, I think solving the actual practical issues first matters a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think zooming out and because we can talk about this forever. The biggest thing with powerlifting is remembering what powerlifting is, which is a sport about the total or the points, the dots. And so as long as that's improving, you're doing fine. And a lot of people will get blinded to the fact that they're improving as a powerlifter because one lift maybe isn't doing as well. And maybe their bench hasn't improved much, which is a problem. But as a powerlifter, their squat and deadlift have improved, so their total's gotten better, their dots has gotten better. And they get so deeply in a funk that they think all of their training is going bad when it's not. You know what I mean?
100%. You got to, like you said, you got to zoom out and try figure out. Like you said, if you're experiencing that you're going through a plateau, you need to zoom out and have a look and be like, all right, if you can figure out why you're going through this plateau, if what you deem as a plateau.
You're sick of saying that word. Eh?
Yeah. What you deem as a platoon.
A platoon. I think the hardest thing, or one of the hardest things with lifting, is that you don't know you're in it until it's kind of too late. Like, because you don't improve on strength week to week. You don't even improve on strength block to block. It's kind of like you only get to see it so often. And so, like, if you train for 6 months and then test your strength and you've gone backwards, it's like, okay, I've gone backwards.
Is it like, it's weird though, is it because like people in powerlifting, the sport, when people deem it as a plateau, because there's measurable numbers, there's measurable outcomes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think LeBron James is saying, fuck, I'm in a plateau. I've been plateauing. I haven't scored more than I have the last, once again, another sports analogy. But, what do you think is it purely because it's fixed numbers?
It's definitely because it's fixed numbers.
But then that raises the other thing, which is like, sometimes you just had a bad day at comp day. Your cut went bad. You didn't refeed properly. You didn't get handled well on the day. You didn't pick the right numbers. Some days are just weekdays. You know what I mean? You guys all know. Some days you just don't perform that well. Sometimes that happens on comp day. Maybe there's hormonal fluctuations. Maybe it's something to do with a female on her period. Maybe it's something to do with a man taking peanut oil instead of testosterone. Or, you know, there's other influencing factors here that can impact your performance. And some people judge all of their progress on their performance on comp day, and they get blind to the fact that like their previous PB in comp was 320, then they only got 310 at comp, but they did 340 in training. It's like, you did get stronger. You did get better. You just had a bad comp day.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways of not answering the question there. A lot of ways of defining that your plateau isn't actually a plateau.
Yeah, but it's true. That's you're right. It's not really a plateau.
I actually think that's the case, though. I think most times that somebody, but I'm coming from a coaching perspective, right? Like the mental strategies I'm giving lifters in plateaus is really showing them that they're not in a plateau, you know, or that we're working towards something. I think the biggest perceived plateau that people get is when they've had a period of time that's really impacted their strength, and then they're comparing themselves to their old numbers. Like you get sick for 6 months, or you have a surgery of some sort, and then you come back to training and you're like, my PB is 250 kilos. And it's like, it was before you went through this big thing, and now it's more like 200 kilos. So when they squat 240, they're like, oh, I've gotten so weak. It's like, no, you're just comparing yourself to an unfair marker, not a level playing field.
One of my guys is doing that right now, and he's just gone down 2 weight classes.
Wow.
This Cooper
Yeah.
is getting upset.
Yeah, it's like, mate, you were 127 or 128. He was a big dog. Like,
Yeah, now he's like 103.
yeah, he's something. Yes, he was joking about going to the under 100s. Like, man, you've gone down 2 full weight classes.
Yeah.
If I went down 2 full weight classes, I'd be fucking 67. You're going to see some kind of a drop in strength temporarily. Like,
Yeah.
you just got to manage your expectations. I don't know if we've ever said that on the podcast before.
No.
But yeah.
I actually appreciate the mindset, because it's always like, you know, hungry to be better. And it's like, we want to say, look what you've achieved. And they want to say, but yeah, look what I could achieve. And I actually kind of appreciate that, because that's kind of like fuel to consistently be better if it's used in the right way. Sometimes it's just a drainer. It's like, bro, shut up. Come on. Like, you're not being like this right now, are you?
That's how I talk to Cooper.
What a legend.
Is that us?
No, what's the time?
11:26. 4 minutes.
It's Meg. We can keep going.
What are we... Meg, you want to talk about anything else?
Just to add to that topic we were talking about before, I think training plateaus for the most part are mental, or anything that involves a goal. There's emotion involved, and you can't expect people to practice neutrality if there is a goal at the end of it, because it's always going to be emotion. And so we're going to encounter highs and feel good about training, and we're also definitely going to encounter lows. And I think it's up to an individual to learn how to regulate those emotions so that they can then problem solve. I don't think people get past that point. They just feel bad or feel good, and then they decide what to do based on the feeling. But if they can learn to regulate how they feel there, then they can kind of get past the plateau a lot sooner.
I really like that. That kind of just reminds me of Bridget. What do I ring and what do you ask me every night when we talk about jiu-jitsu? What's the first thing you ask me?
Were you the hammer or the nail?
Bridget asked me, were you the hammer or the nail? I'll ring her. Do you know when I answer? Like, I was the hammer tonight. I was the nail. But it doesn't mean if I'm the nail multiple times, doesn't mean I'm plateauing or digressing. Like,
Yeah.
It could.
Fuck, I hope not.
Sort of plant those seeds, keep you hungry. Well, what do you think the strategies are to manage those emotions?
It's individual. Like yesterday I was speaking to Sailor, and I was talking about how doing something for a triple can feel a lot more manageable for me than doing something for a single, even if they're kind of close.
He wouldn't know that because he only maxes out.
Well, he was saying I'm the opposite. If I do something for a triple, then I think it's clearly obvious I can give this a crack. And so I just think you have to figure it out for yourself. Everybody's quite individual in how they regulate those feelings.
Figure it out for yourself, or have guidance that's individualized to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with being the nail, and there's nothing wrong with being the hammer. Try to be the hammer more.
Oh, hammers need nails.
But there's always learnings, and I'm just talking about being the nail here. Kind of off topic, but not really. But there's always learnings in being the nail. I find. Like, there's still I get the same level of enjoyment being the nail as I do the hammer.
Yeah, I got one of the highest engagements on a question and answer story thing I posted recently than I've ever gotten on anything, talking about the fact that there's no such thing as a good or a bad day in training. Like opportunities, there's days where you perform and days where you learn, or days where you grow, and opportunities for growth. It's like the good or the bad aspect is just the framing that you ascribe, like the mentality that you ascribe to it. It's like the parable of the Chinese father. You know, like you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
His son is
and the neighbors come over and
so there's a bunch of horses and
What are you saying?
oh yeah, I got to start from top. I got to start from top.
yeah.
Yummy.
So he goes out and he grabs a wild horse and he brings it back, and all his neighbors go, "Oh, you got a horse? That's really good." And he's like, "Maybe." The next day, the son is trying to tame the horse, and he gets knocked off the horse, and he breaks his leg. So all the neighbors go, "Oh no, that's really bad." And the farmer goes, "Maybe." And the next day, the army conscription unit comes around to the house, and they say, "We want your son to go to the army," and he can't because he's got a broken leg. The neighbors all say, "Well, that's really good." He's like, "Well, maybe." The point is, it's like circumstances kind of are just circumstances.
It's the same. It's similar to like the burnt toast theory.
Yeah.
You
What's
heard
a
that?
burnt toast?
The burnt toast theory is like, you know, you're running late for work or something and you're quickly making some toast and you burn it and you're like, oh no, that's so bad. Got to put on another piece of toast. But burning that toast and not being able to leave right that minute might have saved you from being in a car accident or something like that.
It's very
Yeah.
9/11 of you. Can I just add to that there's a special place in hell for people who burn toast and then scrape off the burnt part?
I've done it.
Me too.
I've done it.
Yeah, we've all done it. And we should all learn that is not the correct thing to do in that moment.
because it never tastes the same. It's horrible.
For a start, you've got one toaster that you use over and over again. Learn how to use the toaster.
Yeah, I don't understand how that happens, eh?
No,
I do,
this is
because
what-
Meg changes the
this
setting
is what
to
happens.
crumpets, and then one side gets burnt and one side's raw.
This is what happens. You have it on a setting that's like safe, like 75% toast, and you're like, okay, I'll just pop it in again, but only do half the time. But you get carried away and it
Yeah,
does
and
the
you
full
forget it.
time, and then it's too toasted. That's what happens.
How do you
That's
like?
just poor chefing.
So I don't know about you, but I like my toast rare. I like it rare.
I'm a medium well kind of guy.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Same.
Medium.
I'm a rare
You're
guy.
not medium, you're rare as well.
Am I?
Yeah, like if it comes out just a little bit warm, I'm like, perfect.
I swear I'm medium.
No.
I need it a bit crispier than that.
I need the toppings to melt immediately.
Yeah. And it's got to have a bit of crunch to it.
Yeah, I don't know.
And see, this is how you end up burning your toast, because you live in a household with people who have two completely different settings. And that's how it gets messed up.
Our toaster, our toaster is fucking 1 to 6 or whatever, and 1 it still fucking burns it.
No, it doesn't. I have it on like 2
Or is that the
3
work
and it's
one?
Perfect. I think that's the work
Oh
one.
yeah, that fucking thing. Put it on 1, it comes out black. It's like, what the hell?
I don't even know where these things came from.
I think it came from where'd the toast come from?
My parents bought it for me.
Oh.
And then I brought it in here, and then I think they bought me another one. Just like they bought me 2 microwaves.
So cute.
The kettle's my Kmart kettle that I bought when I moved out of home, which would have been 2011.
I want to bring a sandwich press in.
I want a kitchen.
Move the boombox
Whoa.
over.
All right, we'll call it there. You got to go hang out with Gabs.
Yep.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the ZeroW Podcast. If you want more information, head to our Instagram, @0_weakness. Hit the link in the bio for all of our services and any information on upcoming workshops and events. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review so we can have a broader reach and answer more people's questions. Thank you once more.